Number 1. Heinrich Himmler. Heinrich Himmler was Adolf Hitler's most loyal henchman and the architect of the Holocaust. From 1929 to 1945, he served as Reichsführer SS and chief of all German police. Hitler himself called him the loyal Heinrich because he never questioned orders. While Hitler dreamed of genocide, Himmler made it reality, building the machinery that murdered 6 million Jews. Born in 1900 in Munich, Himmler was a weak, sickly child who never saw combat in World War I. He joined the Nazi Party in 1923 and the SS 2 years later, when it had only 290 members. But his fanatical loyalty impressed Hitler, and by 1929, he commanded the entire SS, growing it to over 52,000 members by 1933. Himmler built the concentration camp system, starting with Dachau in 1933. He controlled every police force in Germany and ran the Gestapo. Most horrifying, he personally oversaw the death camps like Auschwitz and Treblinka. His mobile killing squads called Einsatzgruppen shot 1.5 million people across Eastern Europe. When British soldiers captured him in May 1945, Himmler bit down on a cyanide pill and killed himself. He murdered an estimated 12 million people and created the industrial system of genocide that defines evil itself. Number 2. Lavrentiy Beria. Lavrentiy Beria was Joseph Stalin's most ruthless henchman and enforcer of Soviet terror. From 1938 to 1953, he ran the NKVD secret police as Stalin's personal executioner. Stalin even introduced him to Allied leaders as our Himmler, showing exactly what kind of monster he was. Beria didn't just follow orders, he enjoyed carrying them out. Born in 1899 in Georgia, Beria joined the secret police in 1920 and quickly proved his brutality. When he crushed a Georgian uprising in 1924, he executed 10,000 people without hesitation. Stalin personally picked him to lead the NKVD in 1938. Beria's worst crime was the Katyn massacre. In March 1940, he wrote, Stalin, a memo suggesting they execute 25,000 Polish prisoners. Stalin signed it, and Beria's men shot 22,000 Poles in the back of the head and buried them in mass graves. He also ran the Gulag prison system, where millions died, and organized the mass deportation of entire ethnic groups from their homelands. After Stalin died in March 1953, Beria's rivals arrested him at a secret meeting. They put him on trial and executed him by firing squad in December 1953. Number 3. Zhou Enlai. Zhou Enlai was Mao Zedong's most trusted henchman and the man who kept communist China running. From 1949 to 1976, he served as premier, while Mao unleashed catastrophe after catastrophe. Unlike other henchmen known for cruelty, Zhou was sophisticated and diplomatic, but his loyalty to Mao never wavered, even when policies killed tens of millions. Born in 1898, Zhou studied in France and joined the Communist Party in 1921. His intelligence and organizational skills made him invaluable to Mao for nearly 50 years. Zhou's greatest crime was managing the Great Leap Forward from 1958 to 1962. Mao's insane agricultural policies created the worst famine in human history. Zhou received reports that millions were starving to death, but he kept enforcing grain collection, knowing people were eating tree bark to survive. 30 to 45 million people died. During the Cultural Revolution, starting in 1966, Zhou signed death warrants and enabled purges to protect his own position. Zhou died of cancer in January 1976, still in power. His intelligence made Mao's horrors possible, resulting in tens of millions of deaths. Number 4. Achille Starace. Achille Starace was Benito Mussolini's most fanatically loyal henchman and the man who turned Il Duce into a god. From 1931 to 1939, he ran the National Fascist Party and created the insane cult of personality around Mussolini. While less known than other henchmen, his blind obedience and theatrical propaganda kept fascism alive in Italy. Born in 1889, Starace fought in World War I and joined Mussolini's movement early. His devotion impressed Mussolini so much that he became party secretary in 1931. Starace organized massive rallies where thousands worshipped Mussolini like a deity. He enforced ridiculous loyalty rules. Party members had to run everywhere instead of walking, use the Roman salute instead of shaking hands, and treat Mussolini as infallible. He introduced anti-Jewish laws in the late 1930s, preparing Italy to align with Nazi Germany. His youth programs indoctrinated children into fascist violence. When Italy started losing World War II, Mussolini fired him in 1939. Italian partisans captured Starace and executed him on April 29, 1945, one day after they killed Mussolini. Number 5. Luis Carrero Blanco. Luis Carrero Blanco was Francisco Franco's most loyal henchman and chosen successor in Spain. From the 1940s until 1973, he served as Franco's right-hand man and eventually prime minister. Franco trusted him completely with running Spain's authoritarian government and preparing to continue the dictatorship after Franco's death. Born in 1904, Carrero Blanco was a naval officer who supported Franco during the Spanish Civil War. His administrative skills and total loyalty made him Franco's closest advisor for over 30 years. Carrero Blanco ran Spain's secret police and suppression system. He oversaw political imprisonments, censorship, and the elimination of anyone who opposed Franco. Thousands were jailed for political crimes under his watch. He didn't torture people himself, but he built the bureaucratic machine that made Franco's dictatorship function smoothly for decades. On December 20th, 1973, Basque terrorists from ETA assassinated him with a massive car bomb in Madrid that blew his vehicle over a 5-story building. His death destabilized Franco's plans and helped Spain transition to democracy after Franco died in 1975. Number 6. Nuon Chea. Nuon Chea was Pol Pot's most loyal henchman and chief ideologist of the Cambodian genocide. From 1975 to 1979, he served as Brother Number 2, literally the second in command of the Khmer Rouge. He believed in Pol Pot's insane vision more than anyone else and designed the policies that killed nearly a quarter of Cambodia's population. Born in 1926, Nuon Chea joined the communist resistance against France and became one of Pol Pot's earliest allies. Together, they developed the extreme ideology that would devastate Cambodia. Nuon Chea emptied Cambodia's cities overnight, forcing millions into the countryside as slave laborers. 1.7 to 2 million people died from execution, starvation, or being worked to death. He targeted intellectuals, anyone who wore glasses, and entire ethnic groups for elimination. He oversaw S-21 prison, where 14,000 people were tortured before execution. The Khmer Rouge killed people for speaking foreign languages, having soft hands, or simply being educated. Vietnamese forces ended the nightmare in 1979. Nuon Chea hid for decades, but was finally arrested in 2007. Convicted of genocide in 2014 and 2018, he died in prison in 2019 at age 93. Number 7. Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il was Kim Il-sung's most devoted henchman and the heir to North Korea's dictatorship. From the 1960s until he took power in 1994, he served his father by running propaganda and building the world's most extreme personality cult. His loyalty was absolute, and he spent decades preparing to inherit the most totalitarian state on Earth. Born in 1941, Kim Jong-il was groomed from childhood to succeed his father. He took control of propaganda operations in the 1970s and transformed North Korea into a place where the Kim family was literally worshipped as gods. Kim Jong-il expanded the personality cult beyond belief, claiming he and his father had supernatural powers. He controlled all information, ran prison camps holding 200,000 people, and continued policies that caused a catastrophic famine in the 1990s. While 600,000 to 3 million people starved to death, he prioritized military spending and building monuments to himself. Kim Jong-il ruled until his death in December 2011, then passed power to his son Kim Jong-un, continuing the family dynasty that still controls North Korea today. Number 8. Kim Yo-jong. Kim Yo-jong is Kim Jong-un's most loyal henchman and the second most powerful person in North Korea today. Since 2014, she has served as her brother's propaganda chief and closest advisor. As his younger sister and political strategist, she executes his orders with ruthless efficiency and total devotion. Born in 1987, Kim Yo-jong studied in Switzerland with her brother and rose quickly through party ranks after he took power in 2011. Kim Yo-jong controls all propaganda and issues threats on North Korea's behalf, including warnings of nuclear war against South Korea and America. She manages loyalty campaigns and reportedly oversees purges of officials suspected of disloyalty. Analysts believe she ordered the destruction of the Inter-Korean Liaison Office in 2020. She represents the regime internationally while maintaining brutal domestic policies. Kim Yo-jong remains in power right now, actively running North Korea's policies. She's complicit in imprisoning 200,000 people in labor camps and the regime's ongoing human rights atrocities. Number 9. Manuel Contreras. Manuel Contreras was Augusto Pinochet's most brutal henchman and the head of Chile's secret police. From 1973 to 1977, he ran DINA, receiving orders directly from Pinochet alone. He built Chile's torture machine and turned disappearing people into an art form. Born in 1929, Contreras was an army officer who joined Pinochet's coup against President Salvador Allende in September 1973. Pinochet immediately made him create DINA to terrorize Chile. Contreras established secret torture centers across Chile, including the infamous Villa Grimaldi, where thousands were brutally tortured. DINA kidnapped, tortured, and murdered an estimated 3,000 people, while 40,000 more were imprisoned and tortured. He led Operation Condor, coordinating with other South American dictators to hunt dissidents internationally. His most notorious crime was the 1976 car bomb assassination of former Chilean ambassador Orlando Letelier in Washington, D.C., killing him on American soil. After Chile returned to democracy, Contreras was arrested in 1993. Convicted of crimes against humanity, he was sentenced to over 500 years in prison. He died in August 2015, never showing any remorse. Number 10. Venancio Lopez. Venancio Lopez was Francisco Solano Lopez's most loyal henchman and the brother who helped destroy Paraguay. From 1862 to 1870, he served as army general and foreign minister under his brother's dictatorship. His loyalty to his brother's catastrophic military decisions nearly wiped Paraguay off the map. Born in the early 1820s, Venancio was the younger brother of dictator Francisco Solano Lopez. He commanded troops and conducted diplomacy during the most disastrous war in South American history. Venancio helped wage the War of the Triple Alliance from 1864 to 1870 against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. His brother refused to surrender even when defeat was certain, and the result was the death of over half of Paraguay's population, 300,000 to 400,000 people, including 90% of adult males. Venancio enforced brutal control at home, executing anyone suspected of disloyalty. Venancio Lopez died during the war in 1870, shortly before his brother fell in battle. Their rule left Paraguay devastated for generations. Number 11. Prosper Munumbai. Prosper Munumbai was Jean Bedel Bocasa's most feared henchman and chief of the secret police. From 1966 to 1979, he served as Bocasa's enforcer in the Central African Republic. While little is known about him personally, he carried out Bocasa's violent orders and protected the dictator during his increasingly bizarre rule. Munumbai rose to prominence after Bocasa's coup in 1966 and became his security chief, running intelligence and secret police operations. Munumbai oversaw torture, imprisonment, and disappearances of anyone who opposed Bokassa. He protected Bokassa during his insane 1976 self-coronation as emperor in a ceremony that cost $20 million, one-third of the country's annual budget. Most horrifically, Munumbai was involved in the April 1979 massacre when security forces murdered approximately 100 schoolchildren for refusing to buy expensive uniforms from a company owned by Bokassa's wife. When French forces overthrew Bokassa in September 1979, Munumbai disappeared. Some sources say he died during the coup, while others suggest he fled. His fate remains unknown. Number 12. Anastasio Somoza Portocarrero. Anastasio Somoza Portocarrero, known as El Chiguin, meaning the kid, was Anastasio Somoza Debaille's most ruthless henchman and son. From the 1960s until 1979, he served as his father's military enforcer and commander of Nicaragua's death squads. Groomed as the next dictator, he was completely loyal to his father's brutal regime. Born in 1951, Portocarrero trained at West Point and Harvard before returning to Nicaragua to command the National Guard and Special Forces. As militia commander, Portocarrero supervised paramilitary forces that terrorized Nicaragua. He conducted assassinations, ran intimidation campaigns, and murdered opposition figures, journalists, and activists. His forces tortured prisoners, disappeared dissidents, and massacred civilians suspected of supporting Sandinista rebels. From 1977 to 1979, his brutality intensified as the revolution approached. When the Sandinista revolution succeeded in July 1979, the Somoza family fled Nicaragua. Portocarrero escaped to exile while his father was assassinated in Paraguay in 1980. Portocarrero's current whereabouts and fate remain unclear. From Nazi Germany's death camps to Nicaragua's torture centers, these 12 individuals transformed evil ideas into systematic murder. They weren't ordinary soldiers, they were true believers who chose loyalty over humanity. Heinrich Himmler, Lavrentiy Beria, Nuon Chea, and the others shared one trait: absolute devotion that destroyed their conscience. Together, they're responsible for tens of millions of deaths. Some faced justice executed, imprisoned, or convicted in their final years. Others escaped completely, dying peacefully in exile. A few remain in power today, continuing their brutal regimes. These stories remind us that evil doesn't happen alone. It requires loyal followers willing to pull the trigger, sign the orders, and build the systems that make mass murder possible. Understanding how ordinary people become monsters is how we prevent it from happening again. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.